King Goren could hear the child's cries from down the hall. He rushed into the room, his chancellor close behind. There on the bed lay his wife. Her flaxen hair shone brightly against the black drop of blood. So much blood. The physician stood next to her bed, twisting a cloth. "I'm sorry, Your Grace. I did everything I could to save—" The king crossed the room in 3 long steps and thrust his dagger into the man's gut, yanking upward before pulling back his arm and letting the man drop to the floor. He wiped his knife on his tunic and stuck it into his belt. Then he turned to the wailing infant. "You foul little butcher!" He scooped the child up and lifted it over his head. The chancellor watched all this. Fear and self-preservation told him to keep his tongue still. The king was not one to cross when he was angry. On the other hand, once the king came to his senses, his wrath at the chancellor's silence would no doubt end in the same result. "Your Grace, the alliance!" King Rouen turned toward him. "What?" he roared. The chancellor cringed. "The alliance with the king of the north?" He pointed at the child the king still held in balance over his head. The king lowered his arms and looked at the infant for the first time. She had stopped crying and was looking up at him. She had her mother's broad forehead and gently curving chin, but her hair was pale auburn with dark brown streaks, just like his eldest son's had been, just like his. The other 2 had been born with black hair. And her eyes, the color of maple leaves in spring, much like his. He huffed. "There is no denying that this one is the fruit of my loins." Unceremoniously, he dropped her back into the cradle and started to leave. "You could send her to the convent until she's of age," the chancellor offered. The king glanced back over his shoulder. "No, as you said, the alliance is too important. There she will be easy pickings for Comte Anouilh, or one of the others who would like to see my downfall. No, the bitch will stay here where I can keep an eye on her." He stormed out of the room, passing his sons in the hall without a word. Prince Perrin led his brother Etienne over to the cradle. He tried not to look at the mess that used to be his mother. The midwife and his mother's relations were all fussing and wailing and paid no attention to the 2 small boys. They stared at the tiny bundle. "Who's that?" the younger of the 2 asked. "That's the baby that killed our mother," Perrin spat on it. Etienne took his hand and smeared his brother's spit all over the thing's face. "Come on," Perrin said. "There's nothing here for us now." A smirk crept onto Etienne's face, and he smacked the newborn. He grinned at his brother as they dashed out of the room.